Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Colleges That Change Lives virtual days. Thanks for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions, so please be sure to check back on the website and view recordings of all sessions at the same site where you initially registered. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am going to share my screen here because we have a little presentation for you. So Sarah and I are going to present for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to allow time for our student to kind of share a little bit about his Knox experience, and we'll have time to answer your questions as well. So while Sarah and I are presenting, feel free to use the Q&A box to type your questions in, and we can either kind of chat back to you during the presentation or wait and answer it kind of live after the presentation is done. So I will go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Kimberly Zimmerman. I am the Director of Recruitment and Outreach here at Knox. And then I will let Sarah, you go next, and then Rudy last but not least.
All right, my name is Sarah Colangelo. I am a Senior Assistant Director of Admission at Knox. I'm an admission counselor here. I might be yours. That's my email address. I did graduate from Knox in 2010. So my experience is not as fresh as Rudy's. Rudy's our current student. You want to introduce yourself, Rudy?
Yeah, hi, I'm Rudy. I'm from LA. I'm a poli-sci major, econ minor. I'm in ultimate frisbee. I'm in the Knox Student, which is the school newspaper. I'm in Sigma Chi fraternity, and I'm in the pre-law club.
Excellent.
Then I see that Lana, you have joined us. Do you want to introduce yourself just in time? You
Sure, sorry. Just saw the Zoom link. I'm Lana. I'm a junior. I'm a double major in elementary education and creative writing. And outside of academics, I'm editor-in-chief of Cellar Door, which is one of our 3 literary magazines on campus. I'm also a Spark Mentor, a program for first generation and low income students to come to campus a little early and get adjusted. I do a little bit with theater and like acting and directing. I'm an office assistant in the education studies department, and I'm a tour guide.
Sorry. Let's see. There we go.
I always feel
it's hard to click to the next slide sometimes, is what I'm finding.
I know. I always feel like Rudy and Lana are like doing all these amazing things on campus, and we're like, PowerPoint? Well, so this is a weird year, right? Ideally, in an ideal world, we would have you on campus, or you would be on campus right now. That would be really great. But I know that's a lot more difficult for folks who are coming from a little bit further away. So I want to start us off by talking about our exact location. We are in Galesburg, Illinois. So if you're familiar with the United States, Galesburg is kind of smack dab in the middle. If you're familiar with the Midwest, Galesburg is about halfway between Chicago and St. Louis, about 3 hours away from each. And if you're familiar with Illinois, Galesburg is between Peoria, Illinois, and the Quad Cities in Iowa, about an hour away from each of those. Galesburg's a city of about 33,000 people. So it's a big enough city that it has resources, right? We're across the street from the courthouse. We're the county seat. So folks like, Senator Dick Durbin come through and have lunch with political science students on campus. We have things like Buffalo Wild Wings. We have things like Target. We have 2 big hospitals in town. So Galesburg has a little bit of everything. Again, I describe it a lot as the micropolitan area around which small towns converge. So, it also has local businesses and local businesses that really thrive. So Galesburg is a place for food. I have to be careful here because I could talk about food for too long if I'm not careful. There are some really great local restaurants in Galesburg, and if you go into some of these local restaurants, they are going to know what you want. Galesburg's a place with really wonderful local coffee shops that have vegan bakeries. There's a really wonderful organic food store in town. Koreana is one of my favorite places to eat in town. It's a Korean restaurant. Local delicious Korean food where if you want something special made for you, they will make it. Really great local pizza, which maybe I'll let our students get into a little bit later. But just really wonderful local food. And again, small businesses do well in a city like Galesburg. Galesburg is a small enough city that people really value the local spots. But again, a big enough city that you can go to Taco Bell or Wendy's if you're not feeling local Korean food, which would be strange, but still. It's a place that's connected to other places. So both the Quad Cities, Davenport and Peoria, have airports. So they have airports, and many students will take those or shuttle back and forth that way on holidays, things like that. Chicago is close by, and campus is about a block and a half away from the Amtrak station. So we are connected to the rest of the country by rail. Amtrak is a really wonderful way to get back and forth to campus, especially if you are from Chicago or the Chicagoland area. If you are from Kansas City, it takes about 4 hours. It's a straight shot. If you're from Colorado, if you're from Denver, it's overnight. But at the beginning and the end of each term, you will see students wheeling suitcases to and fro from the train station. So we are connected to other places, and Galesburg's a really cool opportunity. I could speak all day about the benefits of going to college in a small city, because small cities are places where you can really build the internships, the job shadows, and the experiences that you want to build, because you're not competing with other people, and you're going to have these small business owners who are just enthusiastic about having somebody on their team. So Galesburg's a really great opportunity to be a part of a community and to make a real difference.
So kind of backing up a little bit, going back to kind of Knox and what we call Knox by the numbers, we have about 1,200 students here at Knox. So our average class size is about 14. Our faculty to student or student faculty ratio is 11:1. So you're going to be part of that kind of small, close-knit community. You're going to know your professors, they're going to know you, they're going to come, see you at your athletic competition, see you in your show or a poetry reading. You're going to really feel part of that close-knit community. We are Division III for athletics. We have 18 varsity athletic teams here at Knox. And we say that our student athletes are true student athletes. Their academics come first, but they're still part of a really competitive sports team, part of the Midwest Conference. And in the past year, we've had 122 Midwest Conference academic All-Americans. So our students are really successful both on and off the field. In terms of student organizations, we have over 100 different student organizations. We say that our students will probably at first join a few too many, but by the end of their 4-year experience, they will have found a few, or maybe 3, 4, 5 even still, that really speak to them, that they're really passionate about and that they're excited about. In terms of kind of other statistics, facts, and figures, let's see here, my screen is jumping on me. We will go back. Some other facts and figures. Our students come from all over the United States, all over the world. We currently have students from 45 different states in 49 different countries around the world. We have about 32% population of students of color, and then 19% of our students are from outside of the United States, are international students. So our students are really diverse, and they're coming from all over the country, all over the world, and they found their way here to Galesburg to be part of our Knox community.
Awesome. So I think that Kimberly did such a great job of talking about the numbers at Knox, right? Knox is a place that has people from all over the world. So the city of Galesburg and the college were founded at the same time in 1837 by a group of abolitionists. Knox was the first institution in the state of Illinois to educate women and students of color. we talk about this history a lot because it's something that we have to work on still today. And I think that that is something that Knox is really good at, is acknowledging the fact that if you're going to have a community and an environment that is so full of different voices and is so full of folks with different backgrounds and different values who are coming in with very different experiences, you have to keep working on it. And so that can mean having conversations as a campus pretty frequently. That can mean people speaking out, people being critical of themselves, critical of their peers, and critical of the institution, but never in a malicious way, always in a listening and learning type of way. So that's so important at Knox, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention that that's a big value that we hold and that we continue to work on sort of every single day.
So Sarah kind of alluded to this earlier. We're aware that you guys may not be able to visit campus or may not be comfortable to visit campus, maybe not be able to get that traditional college search campus tour experience. So we wanted to at least provide one slide, if you will, talking about what the Knox campus really feels like and how it feels to be here and to be a student here. So we say it feels busy, but not chaotic. Our students have a lot going on. They're going to be involved. They're going to be studying multiple different areas of academic interest. They're going to be student athletes. They're going to be volunteering in the community. They're going to be busy. Their days will be filled, but they're not running themselves ragged. You know, they're not spiraling out of control with their calendars. They're busy, but definitely not chaotic. Our students are productive. They have goals. They have those plans, that 4-year plan, that major, that kind of that graduation goal, but they're not exclusively goal oriented. So our students can see the bigger picture and they can learn for the sake of learning and take classes that they're passionate about and that they're interested in and be productive that way. And it's interesting and exciting to see our students and all the opportunities that they have and all the different ways that they're productive through their learning experience, and they don't have the blinders on and only taking the classes within their major to fill those credits so they can walk across that stage. They're here to be productive in the sense of being a college student and get everything out of it that they possibly can. Our students are collaborative. Our campus is collaborative. It's not a competitive place. We don't have, you know, that scary freshman weed out program where only a percentage of the students make it to their sophomore year. If you miss a class, you can ask your classmate for notes and they're not going to sabotage you along the way. We want our students to succeed. We want our campus to feel like a collaborative learning space. And I think that's something that is really evident once you're a part of this Knox community. We say that we're philosophical here. Our students engage in deep conversations. We have things called Day of Dialogue where we hang out on campus and have these conversations. We have, you know, kind of those traditional philosophy courses, but I'm talking more broadly than that. I mean, there's Sarah was mentioning kind of tough conversations and growth that we experience as a campus community. We look at things from multiple different angles and we engage in some of those tough conversations, some of those philosophical conversations, but we're definitely not pretentious here by any means. And kind of to my next point about that, I say we're friendly. I think Galesburg and Knox in a large part has kind of that quintessential Midwestern friendliness, and it very much is that kind of down to earth Midwest vibe. So our students here are friendly, our faculty, our staff, our campus is friendly, Galesburg is friendly, but by no means shallow. And I like this piece probably more than anything. I say we're unapologetically smart. Our students are smart, they know they're smart. Our faculty are brilliant, they know they're brilliant. And we're proud of that. So we're unapologetically smart. We know that you'll be challenged here. We know that you'll learn and you'll grow here once you're part of this community. Faculty, staff, students will grow and learn once they're part of this community. And we're happy about that and we're proud about that. And that's something that we kind of take with us on each day. And above all else, we say that we're human. It feels human to be here and to be part of this Knox community. Knox is a place where students, people, faculty, staff, I mean, great work is done here. And I think there's a little bit of, again, kind of going back to that humbleness that I think is a huge part of the Knox community. people do great work here, but they don't make a huge deal about it, which is why I feel like it's important that I'm talking about it now, because we kind of do great work, we don't make a big deal about it, and we move on because we know there's another mountain to climb, more great work to be done on the horizon, which I think is just this really cool innate piece of the Knox experience and the Knox culture.
All right, so you are currently in the Colleges That Change Lives sort of set of these kinds of sessions, right? And whether or not you know it, I feel like the Colleges That Change Lives oftentimes are distinctive because of their traditions. I think a lot of these traditions on small campuses can make such a big difference in terms of what makes a campus tick, right? It can tell you a lot about a campus. So things that that Knox has that we do every year. International Fair, I-Fair, one of my favorite events every single year. I-Fair is a really amazing time in usually the beginning of the year in January, where again, we have a really large international student population, and everyone else on campus is very enthusiastic about that. So I-Fair is a time of outside speakers coming in to speak about different issues. It's a time of wonderful food, really, really, really wonderful food, and talent shows and a parade of flags. And it's really inspiring to see. There are so many beautiful photos of I-Fair out there. I feel like after I-Fair, if I were a photographer, I-Fair would be like the most delicious event of the year. I feel like Flunk Day. Everybody loves Flunk Day. So Flunk Day is a day in our spring term. I think Kimberly would probably cover, we have 3 terms per year at Knox, and in the spring, Flunk Day occurs, but that's all we know. We don't know when, we don't know how, but Flunk Day will appear on a random day in the spring. You will be surprised by it. Classes are canceled and you get to just hang out all day and have fun, and there's free food and faculty show up, and there's an Abraham Lincoln impersonator that you can just hang with for your day. The Prairie Burn, Knox owns 700 acres of preserved prairie land. It's the Green Oaks Biological Field Station, and every other year, folks from the college go out to the prairie and burn it. Prairies are interesting ecologically in that they are one of the only spaces that need human intervention to continue to thrive, right? So you have to burn the prairie every year for it to really be healthy. Every other year they weed, which sounds significantly less fun than being surrounded by fire. The Turkey Bowl is one of the oldest football rivalries in the US, certainly in the Midwest, a football game that occurs every year between Knox and our rival school that shall not be named. It's Monmouth, no big deal. And Pump Handle. So Pump Handle is my favorite Knox tradition, which is why I've saved it for the end. It's also the image that you see on your screen here. Pump Handle happens every year at the beginning of the year, the day before classes start. And so every year, everybody in the entire college, from the president to the mascot to folks like us, every single student, every single professor, folks who work in the cafeteria, folks who work pretty much in every corner of Knox, you get out on the lawn and you form a big long line, and that line turns in on itself. So you theoretically shake hands with every single person on campus. And I think that's just such a wonderful way to get to know everybody. You break down that initial awkwardness that you have with new people, right? You get to see people, greet them, and you can always fall back on like, well, we probably know each other. We probably met at Pump Handle. You do it again before you graduate, so you get to say goodbye, which is very, very painful. But Pump Handle is my favorite Knox tradition.
I feel like I need to just throw a caveat in there that we have not done Pump Handle in COVID times. So we did not do it, unfortunately, for our seniors in June. And then we have not done it this fall to welcome our incoming students. So that has been, I think difficult for all of us, is that we've had to forego some of these traditions. So wanted to make sure we took a minute to show you the majors and the minors and the academic programs. We have more than 60 different areas of study, more than 90 different majors and minor options for our students to choose from. In the last 5 years, we have added 3 different majors and 7 different minors. So they're kind of scattered throughout this list, just to make sure that we're meeting the needs and the interests of our students as they tell us what's important to them and what subjects they want to study. And I think that's something that's beautiful about Knox, that we're constantly trying to improve upon ourselves, and that even goes back to our academic majors and minors. You can see that in some kind of math and science majors, there's little plus signs right after them. So any major program that has a plus sign after it, you could get a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts degree in those 9 different options. And then I think it's also important to just mention that we have a variety of different cooperative programs and pre-professional programs that our students can participate in, including our early admission program for medical school with George Washington University. We have accelerated law school programs with the University of Chicago, Columbia, Indiana University. And then we also have a 3-2 engineering program where you do 3 years at Knox and 2 years at a partner institution. And we have partnered with several schools, but a couple of them, Washington University in St. Louis, University of Illinois, and Columbia University. And I think the other thing that I'll just mention here, while I have our majors and our minors and we're talking about the academic programs, Knox is divided into 3 terms. So we have a fall term, a winter term, and a spring term. Each of those terms are 10 weeks long, and our students take 3 classes during each of those terms. So for fall term, our students right now typically take 3 classes, and then they'll take 3 classes again in winter term and 3 classes again in spring term. So I just kind of, as you're thinking about your majors and your minors and your programs, I always think it helps to kind of understand what that looks like in terms of what our schedule is here at Knox.
Excellent. Yeah. So yeah, that 3-3 sort of system is one thing that I think is sort of unique at Knox, especially as you are kind of trying to distinguish the college from other institutions that might be similar. And you know, I think that many colleges right now use this term experiential learning, right? It's kind of common. You're going to hear it very often, but I want to talk about what that means at Knox, because that is just as important a part of your education as your major and your minor, and frankly, as the people that you're spending your days with, because that sort of around the clock education is going to be huge too. So at Knox, having a real world experience, doing that experiential learning, it's required. It's something that ultimately a faculty advisor is going to have to check off of a list so that you can graduate. But it's also something that you'll probably do many times as a student. So that can take the form of research or creative work. You name it, you can have lab time. They can take the form of study abroad or studying off campus in the US. It can take the form of something called an immersion term. So in addition to that 3-3 system, these immersion terms are something a little bit unique to Knox. Immersion terms are basically one of those trimesters, one of those, you know, one of the 3 terms per year. You just do one thing. You don't have to do an immersion term, but you certainly can. And they're very unique. So there's one called repertory theater term, where students live like they're in a theater company for the entire term. You put on 2 shows, that's it. There's one called startup term, which is kind of like Shark Tank term. Students start up these little small businesses at a local office in Galesburg, and they pitch them to alumni backers. That biological field station, that preserved prairie land I talked about, there's one term where students live there for the entire 10-week term. It's very cool. So immersion terms are a little bit unique to Knox. No matter what you do, no matter what you choose to do as experiential learning, and again, you'll probably do this more than once. You'll probably do research and an internship or creative work and an immersion term. Every student at Knox in their junior year is guaranteed $2,000. It's called the Power of Experience Grant. It's a grant that you can use to pursue any of these things, be it research, be it creative work, be it going abroad, be it living someplace while you're doing a job shadow, things like this. You can use that Power of Experience grant for it. Now, yes, you can apply for research funding before your junior year, after your junior year, in addition to this $2,000, but start thinking now about what you might do with $2,000, because you can't let that hold you back. You already have this cool opportunity to do something really, really unique. And you can do that at Knox with that Power of Experience grant.
So things that happen after you graduate, our students do a lot. They go a lot of places, they do a lot of different things, and our alumni will tell you that a lot of that is tied directly to their experiences that they've had at Knox and the way Knox has prepared them for that next step. So what some of our students do, they'll go to graduate school. Our students have pursued advanced degrees at schools like Carnegie Mellon, Harvard, Yale, Northwestern, MIT, schools here in Illinois, schools on the other side of the world. Just 2 students from our students that graduated this past year in June. We had 1 student pursuing, going on to pursue a chemistry degree at Yale, and we had another student pursuing a master's in neuroscience at the University of Copenhagen. So our students, you know, with their graduate programs, I mean, they really do get into these fantastic programs all over the country, all over the world. In terms of our alumni, we have 16,000 Knox alumni that are out there in the world and that are Knox proud and are excited to meet new Knox alumni. So once you go through Knox, go through those 4 years, you're always part of Knox, and in that 16,000 Knox alumni network is there to support you through every step along the way. We recently did a survey of those alumni, and from that survey, 97% of our alumni said that they felt prepared for life after college. 83% of them have said that they're pursuing meaningful work 10 years after their time here at Knox. So this survey and what we're hearing from our alumni is that their 4 years at Knox has really prepared them for a life that's filled with fulfilling work that they're prepared for, that they're excited about, that they're ready to kind of leap into and continue to be successful, kind of going off of those 4 years that they spent here in Galesburg. And the other thing that we like to just highlight, we had a Knox Proud Giving Day, an annual alumni giving day this past summer. And we had more than 2,000 alumni give donations to Knox on that day. So they're answering our survey, they're donating money back to the college. So it just shows how excited our alumni still are about their Knox experience, even decades after their time here at Knox. And the last thing I want to encourage, as you guys are thinking about outcomes and what a Knox education could provide for you, on our website, on each academic program, there's little highlights about what alumni are doing in that field. So feel free to kind of browse our website or ask us questions if there's certain programs or majors and you want to know what alumni are currently doing with a degree in, you know, insert major there. And this is a quick little video.
What makes you the person that you are?
About Knox.
What defines you growing up as a person, and how did you get here to this moment?
I've loved the community. You always greet with smiles. Everybody's super unique here.
I got to Knox and I realized that people weren't really judging me for my ideas and my opinions. I became more at ease with being in my own skin and being able to express myself and articulate my ideas.
All the people I've met with my friends and my teachers who just come with different backgrounds and different experiences and perspectives have changed the way I look at the world.
I love the freedom.
Breaking out and trying something new and challenging.
I started going out of my way to do things that I didn't think I could typically do. I became an RA, I became a writing tutor, I'm a Red Room captain.
I joined clubs that I never thought I was gonna be in.
I've changed a lot. I have changed a whole lot.
I love all the opportunities available to me. I'm a chemistry major, mathematics minor, member of Chem Club. I also play in 2 ensembles.
I wanted to explore, I wanted to see what my passion was. And then I took an international relations class. It changed my life.
I went in to a foreign country not knowing anybody who's in the program, not knowing the language, having a fantastic time just throwing myself in there, meeting all these new people and learning all these amazing things.
I love doing new reactions. I love creating new chemicals, new compounds.
One of the greatest things about Knox is that it's afforded me these opportunities to study abroad, to do these internships and get paid for them, to do an honors project. That's really kind of shaped who I am now.
Oh, there's inherent greatness in everyone.
Just got to keep looking up.
All right, and then this is the last slide. So if you guys have questions, Rudy and Lana are here to tell their Knox stories, answer your questions. So feel free to use the Q&A. We just want to end this presentation kind of piece of it just with ways that you can think about the value of a Knox education. We say that the Knox education is incredibly adaptable. So it supports your growing interest and encourages you to learn and explore and change your mind and pursue new subjects and new areas of interest, and that it'll continue to be adaptable for you throughout your professional career. Not wanting to, it doesn't want to tell you what else it is. Let's see here. There we go. It is an education that works. So this goes back to those experiential learning opportunities that Sarah was talking about. We want students to kind of participate in experiential learning opportunities. We want them to take those writing workshop classes. We want them to take an immersion term. We want them to pursue that study abroad experience or that internship experience. We want them to have these kind of in-depth real world experiences on top of those coursework experiences. And we say it's an education with power. We say that the human-powered education, the human-powered experience that you have here at Knox is going to continue to work for you and have that power for you throughout the rest of your college experience and throughout the rest of your kind of life and career. The stuff that you learn at Knox and experiences you have at Knox will change you and it will resonate with you and will stay with you throughout, you know, the rest of your time as you're contributing to the world and kind of making that difference. And we have our 2 student profiles here for you. So it talks a little bit more about what they do, the clubs and organizations they're in. So maybe that'll spark a question that you might have for either of them, or Sarah and I are obviously here to answer questions about the application process or any of those kind of admission things as well. So Sarah, do you have a question to kind of kick us off with?
I do. I actually do see a question in the Q&A, and I think I want to use it to sort of hop off and talk to our panel as well. So we have a question in the Q&A about the most common majors at Knox, which Kimberly knows is a question that I struggle with a little bit. People find Knox for a lot of different reasons. Most people find us because they know that they want to do hands-on work. They know that they want to do research. They know they want to be part of a community. They know they want to be part of a global community. An especially global community. And so I think for that reason, a lot of students do come to Knox undecided. They're not sure what they want to do, but things that tend to be popular or things that are a little bit more unique. Creative writing is pretty popular here at Knox. Biology is pretty popular at Knox. Psychology is popular everywhere. So economics is popular. International relations, again, for pretty obvious reasons, political science. These kinds of things tend to be popular, but there are so many wonderful programs that it's just by happenstance that we have a couple of students with us today who are majoring in some of those things that I just mentioned. Rudy and Lana, would you mind talking a little bit about what brought you to Knox, why you decided on Knox? Was it a particular program? Was it something that you saw? What were you looking for? And how did you find Knox? Why did you choose it?
Yeah, absolutely. I chose Knox. I applied to a lot of schools. I'm one of those people who's constantly planning and thinking ahead. And so I had applied to maybe 7 or 8 schools, and I had narrowed it down to Knox and Augustana, very similar sizes, things like that. And I was given the same financial aid. I visited Augustana and then I visited Knox. And the difference was when I got here, it really felt like everyone here was interested in me as a person and wanted me to come here. I met with some professors in the Ed Studies department who were just absolutely wonderful people. Joel Estes, he's retired now, but he is amazing. And so we sat down and we talked for like the whole time. And I just felt like everyone here was so invested in me as a person rather than just getting me here as a number. And that's the reason I chose Knox.
Yeah, I came to Knox. I knew I was going to major in poli-sci and going to pre-law, and I really came because of the quality of the programs. especially the personal advising you get, especially in the pre-law program, because we have our pre-law advisor Thomas Bell. He actually joined last year, but he's amazing because he's young, so he knows like how it is recently because he just got his JD, so he's not like stuck like 30 years in the past. But like I've gotten help from like every stage on the law school process, from the LSAT to recommendation letters, to GPA and like where to go, what to apply, what to do, what to good in your resume. That's one-on-one. Like I just send him emails like whenever I freak out like 1 a.m. I send him an email and then he responds the next morning like, yeah, okay, we can meet about that. And for my major poli sci, my advisor is Andrew Siftini. He's worked in the Democratic Party for a long time. He's done a lot. He's has done lots of underground work. He's not just like a theoretical guy. So he always has like ear on the ground. He's given me lots of like positions. Like I now report on election night for this research company. I'm gonna get paid to do it, and that's because he sent me an email. He's like, you should apply for this. I'm like, cool. So that's really why I came here. It was like the personal, yeah.
Awesome. That's beautiful. A really good question about, so we have a question about class size particularly, but I guess I want to take it a step farther. Can you talk a little bit about what it feels like to be in class at Knox? Like maybe talk about the classes that you've had that have been the smallest, classes that you've had that have been the largest, and what it feels like to actually be in a classroom at Knox, maybe during a normal year.
Yeah, I personally love the classes here at Knox. Most of my classes are 15 students tops. My creative writing workshops are typically like, right now I'm taking a fiction into film screenwriting workshop, and I think there's 7 people in my class. So they do get pretty small. The biggest class that I've ever been in, it was a psychology class. So the sciences do get a little bit bigger, and this was a really popular class. It was behavior and conditioning. So we got to like train a rat, like a real rat, and condition it to do stuff. And this was the biggest class I was in. I think there were probably like 35 of us, and we were shoved into the multi-purpose section of Wilson House. So there was a lot of us for that class, like 35. And I say that saying a lot, I mean, knowing that there are schools where that is not even close to a lot, but I'm used to creative writing classes where there are like 7 to 12 people talking to each other and being able to have those discussions and think about things in a way that we can all really get to know each other. And it's not just like, I'm a face that my professor is going to forget. Being in these classes and being able to have these conversations and get to know everyone on a personal level really allows me, like, all of our professors, they want to go by their first name. So, and then I know my advisor like takes me out for coffee to go over my schedule and stuff. All of our professors really want to get to know you as students. And I think a lot of that is attributed to how small our classes are and how discussion based they are. And that's something that I really love about Knox.
My biggest class was History 101, which I took 12 term my freshman year. That's like an intro class, so that's always the biggest. In my department, poli-sci department, there's like 2 kinds of classes, right? There's the lecture class, where you come into class and professor lectures for an hour, and then there's discussion classes, the seminar classes, where you come in and you talk. The seminar classes are always smaller, like it's never more than like 15 people, because you want to have those meaningful conversations. The lecture classes are a bit bigger. PS 101, which I'm TAing for right now, is like 25 plus students, like less than 30, between 25. But again, it's very small. Professors have a lot of office hours. I know that I'm taking PS 210. My professor has 4 hours of like open office hours, and then you can schedule further if those don't work for you. So it's a ridiculous amount of free time. So it's never like professors are busy. Like you just can't contact them. You will always get a response back, like either the next day. And every professor I've spoken to said that if I don't respond in 1 day, just email me again. I'll definitely respond the next day. So I'm like, it's always like really easy to keep a communication up with professors.
Excellent. We are almost out of time, unfortunately. So I'll ask very quickly. We've got a question about Greek life and its prominence on campus. And I would say it's about 20% of campus. But really quickly, I suppose I would say both Rudy and Lana, be it Greek life related or not, what can you just tell me an experience that you've had at Knox? Just one experience that you've really, really valued. Just give me one example of being in a classroom or being in a club or doing something that you don't think you could have done somewhere else.
I'm gonna need a minute for this one.
How about you, Rudy? Do you want to start? Oh man, I'm sorry, I asked a hard one.
I actually, this is I can actually because first week I'm back. I was in the SPAL program. Actually, I remember Lana from the SPAL program. My advisor was Andy Civittini back then, and we all, so the first week you're back as a freshman, you'll go out to dinner with your professor. Like they'll buy all the advisors dinner. So I went to dinner, and Andy invited Thomas Bell, the pre-law advisor. So there was, first week back, this aspiring college like pre-law dude, and I'm just having dinner with the pre-law advisor, and like it was really helpful for me. And I just don't think that there's any other place where I'm like eating like a steak with the pre-law advisor like the first week back, and he already knows like my first name. I think that's like super unique.
So I have a couple things that all kind of come back to the people. That's my big thing. I say it again on tours, whenever. I talk about the people here all the time. And something that I remember from my freshman year, I was able to take my beginning fiction writing class, my first term, fall term, and Sin Fitch, the professor of fiction, my fiction writing class, I turned in a story, and I went into her office to discuss it with her, and she told me that I definitely belong in this program and in this field. And that just made me feel so validated and so reassured. And things like that happen time and again here at Knox for me. When I was hired to work in the Ed Studies department, Joel, the head of the department, actually had emailed me personally and was like, hey, we need an office assistant. I recommended you. I want you to come and work here. And I was just so flattered, and it felt so important. And Knox does that all the time. There's just so many people who really care about you and really work to make you feel important here. And those are experiences that I don't think I could get anywhere else.
That was really beautiful. For both of you, that was really beautiful. That might be our time. Does anybody have anything else to add before we say goodbye for the evening? Anybody? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate the time. Thank you to Rudy and Lana, who were just wonderful. And thank you to Kimberly, who ran the show for us here. Really appreciate it. Please be in touch with us. We're around. We don't disappear after this evening. There's lots more on Knox's website, so we hope we see you again soon. Thanks, folks.
Great. Thank you so much to all of our panelists, and thank you for joining us this evening. When this webinar ends, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we would appreciate any feedback that you're willing to provide. Also, just a reminder that this was one of many sessions that was hosted as part of the Colleges That Changed Lives virtual days, so be sure to check back in about a week's time for recording of all those sessions. Thanks again, and have a great night.